So I'm going to get into the actual part of why I'm here, which is being a DOP. When it comes to planning and imagining a narrative is just a fancy word for story, all right? You have to imagine the story. When the director picks you and says, I want you to shoot this thing, you have to be like, okay, I'm listening to you, I'm reading the script, I'm thinking with you, director, what do you want to do? And you start to see it in your head first, right? But now you can't get onto set. You can't get onto set and start, hey guys, this is in my head, I want this here, and I want, everyone needs to know your plan, right? You have to plan first. The best way to plan is with a shot list. The shot list is just a guideline, a tool for you, especially as the director, to have a baseline, to say, okay, I'm going to do this, this, and that, right? And when you get onto set and maybe your mind changes, at least you've already got the tools and the lights and the cameras and the movements, things that you need. Like if you need tracks, if you want to change from tracks to a gimbal, at least you have them on set and you have them ready because you've got a shot list. And it's so important that you engage with your director and make sure that he understands what your vision is as well. Because a director and a director of photography are two heads of the production. They work alongside. One is as important as the other. The director is in charge of blocking, right? He wants to make sure that the story is told in a certain way. He stages what's going to happen in front of the camera. He works with the artists and he makes sure that the artist can actually tell the story in his, from his perspective. Do you understand? Whether it's with the way that they say things, or how they say it, where they're saying it, that's the director's job. Your job as a DOP is then to say, okay, this is how I'm going to translate that into moving photography. Okay? So you need to make sure that when you're sitting with your director and you're looking at how he wants to block it, then you start imagining it, start seeing it, start planning it out, create a shot list on how you're going to make that happen. Movement is something that I think a lot of people focus on for the wrong reasons, right? People want to get the new DJI Ronin. They want to, yeah, I'm going to put this on the track. Oh, I'm going to put this on the glider. You don't actually have to use all of that kind of movement. A simple pan sometimes is just enough to tell the story. Why? Because what you're looking for as the DOP is a chance to get someone to understand the emotion that is happening in the scene. It's not about you, DOP. It's not about you, cameraman. You shouldn't be even a feature in the film. Like, no one should know who shot that film. Like, that's the best DOPs. My favorite DOPs are the ones where I have to wait till the end and be like, oh my gosh, who shot that? You know what I mean? Like, I'm more touched by people like that than people who are like, you see, that shot is so typical of that director or that DOP. You know what I mean? Like, then I'm used to it. Then I want to see something new, something fresh. But I want the story to be awesome first for me to invest in that art. Do you understand? Or that person's artwork. So make sure that if you're going to be doing movement, it's for a reason. Don't just take a camera and start moving it within the shots. You know what I mean? Just because it looks cool. Think about what's happening in front of the camera. Think about what the director has blocked with the actors. Just think about it, plan it, and then have some emotional intent when you're shooting. Lighting is a big thing. Lighting is huge, but lighting is also the best way to convey a message. You need to understand that, like, if you're shooting a sitcom compared to a drama, compared to like a thriller, there's going to be different lighting setups. In a sitcom, you need as much light as possible. You need there to be no shadows. It needs to be like an alternate reality. It needs to look almost like a cartoon. It's a sitcom, it's a comedy. Cartoons don't have shadows and booms and like lights in different ways and like shadows, because then it becomes a little bit ominous and you're telling something different. Everything needs to be well lit and flat. So I don't know if you've seen like The Big Bang Theory. It's a studio set, everything is lit. If you can find a scene in The Big Bang Theory where there's like an irregular shadow, I'll give you $10. I'm not that rich, but I'll give you $10. But that show is so evenly lit. There's almost never a minute of irregular shadows. It's all well lit. And the reason is it wants to give you that cartoon feel. That's the intent behind it, to make you laugh without having to think deeper than the joke. Do you understand? Then you get something like a drama. So dramas are usually have dramatic lighting. What that means is then they'll cast a shadow in a certain way. So now it's getting a romantic scene, so then it's all warm and it's all beautiful and like candlelight, and you place all these different things in those scenes. When it's like a confrontation scene, you can see that it's like flat lighting. It's like you want to see those emotions between people, but then there must be a little bit of darkness somewhere there to give you that ominous, you understand? Then you get like thrillers or horrors, which is my favorite genre. And why I love horrors, especially as a DOP, is because they do so much with such little light to get you to get what? To get scared. You understand? So one of my favorite scenes, I wish I actually put it in here, is from a movie called The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Yes, I love horror movies. So in this scene, there's literally a light that's emulated coming through a window, right? It's supposed to be like moonlight. And the priest is busy praying over this girl who's possessed. And as he's praying over her, you see shadows of cats and rats. Shadows of cats and rats going through the moonlight. That creeps you so much that you know what is about to happen. Even though you don't want it to happen, you know it's going to happen, and this girl's going to explode into some demonic what, you know? But because they've created that suspense and that intrigue, and then they scared you before they scared you by using what? Lights and shadows. You know what I mean? Minimal lighting. So think about how you're going to light your scenes, what you're trying to convey, what effect are you trying to give to the audience. And then color. Color is always a choice. I love color, Mike loves color, we all love color, but sometimes it's nice to shoot it black and white. Sometimes it's also just, if you're going to decolorize a little bit, you know what I mean, desaturate your movies. Sometimes you don't need to pump out everything, or you can be selective with your color and maybe boost reds, boost blacks, you know, like that's a choice that you and the director will have to make. And if the director's vision is to have something that's a little bit more saturated, then you as a DOP need to start thinking about that and how you're going to shoot it. Am I going to shoot it on an A7S? Am I going to shoot it on a Ronin and move around? Or am I going to shoot it on a red and keep all that 4K quality and make it like beautiful so I can crunch it down and keep it like get all the tones out of it? Or do I want to shoot it flat on a black magic? You understand? And then sit in grade and work on those colors. So always think about what the director wants to do, what the story is, and imagine it in your head first, put it down on paper, and then work on it on set. Can you go to the next slide? So this is the campaign I did for Mini. It's Goldfish. You'll see what I mean about color, framing, and what the director wanted. I shot it. It's just a story about Goldfish and about their time in Cape Town. But the whole purpose of this is to what? Is to sell Mini. And I think we kind of achieved it. Complain?
There's a freedom in Cape Town, especially from a musical point of view. It just seems to be a place where people can be very creative without the pressures of, you know, the corporate world that's kind of pressing down on London or New York or LA. Cape Town is a special place for me, really, because I think that the creative freedom is amazing, and as an artist, it's, you know, you want to be in an environment where you kind of feel inspired on a daily basis, and Cape Town really gives you that. You feel very clear in the mind when after you've been surfing, and I think that's a very important place to be creatively, that you can go back somewhere and be clear and ready to kind of channel your inner creativity, as opposed to being stuck in traffic and all like sort of hectic kind of environments and then try and go and create. It's not that easy. we kind of get to experience Cape Town in summer a lot and sort of skip the winters. Since I was about 6 years old, I've been coming here. It's where I learned to surf. Is to catch the train from Rondebosch all the way through to Muizenberg, and learned to surf, and got my first surfboards here. It was a huge part of that part of my life, which was surfing alongside music. It was kind of the yin and yang as far as the outlets as a kid. The music was part of it, and surfing was part of it. And it's kind of the one thing that keeps us sane coming back here. It's the thing that you can kind of hold on to and latch onto, and all your friends are here. The lifestyle as a city, as far as the city goes, is probably one of the best in the world. The city is my home, and it's always will be.
So a funny story about that, and this is where filmmaking can take you. I learned how to surf, shooting that, but I learned how to surf in the coldest part of the ocean. I don't know if you guys know a place called Simonstown. It's outside of Cape Town. And on the beach, it was 36 degrees. In the water, it was minus 12 degrees. So I had this like wet, I had a wetsuit on, I had a 5D that was strapped to my arm, and I had a GoPro strapped to my left arm. And then I'm swimming through the water, learning how to surf there, and going with the guys and filming with them just to get the shot. And I came out there, I was freezing, but I got my shots. So I just wanted to just show you that campaign is one of my favorite things that I've worked on, only because the purpose was Minnie came to us and Minnie said, we want to sell more cars, but we have these brand ambassadors and we don't know what to do with them, except like give them cars and get them to take selfies with the cars and stuff. So we were like, why don't we tell the story about them and use the cars as a moment to show that they're moving through their city and they're living a lifestyle that is about music and happiness and joy and surfing and everything, and the car is just always a part of that lifestyle. So you can always find content and create something good and cool out of like basically nothing, out of boredom. You know what I mean? You can do something so cool for Transnet with these rails, guys. Like, you've got so much that you can do. Take brands and go pitch them. You know what I mean? Find a brand, you wearing an Under Armour shirt, you could find something to do, you know what I mean, like an idea, and go pitch it to them. And just say, let's try it, this is my spec, this is my idea. If you give me $1 million, I'll create a nice campaign for you, and it's that easy. Some people will say yes. A lot of people will say no, but some people will say yes. Okay?